What's the deal with schedule specifications? Let's say you're a contract scheduler and you can't get your baselines approved by the owner. Or maybe you're an owner and you can't get your contract schedulers to give you good schedules. What is going on? Well, we're in the world of schedule specifications. What are they? Why are they challenging? Why do we have them? In this video, I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about schedule specifications and why they're so important. Let's go. So what is a schedule spec anyway? Oh boy, I feel like one of those recipe blogs where they're like, what is mama's cacciatore anyways? Let's just talk about it for a minute so we all have a level understanding. A schedule spec is a technical standard that an organization can set so that they have consistent schedules and schedules that they can understand. They want schedules built a certain way. This is often a very technical document that gets into how things should be set, like calendars, activity codes, resourcing costs, even reports. And it might also outline all sorts of things about the delay situation. So it might outline how time impact analysis should be done, all sorts of technical stuff. Think of it like a recipe. There's a recipe to follow. Like I said, mama's cacciatore chicken. It's a recipe that you need to follow to create the schedule that they want. Now, different organizations use schedules in different ways, and some of that's going to be captured inside the schedule spec. But it's your job, if you're a contract scheduler, to put on your super attention to detail hat and scour that document so that you really understand what they're looking for in your schedules. We're going to look at a couple different schedule specs in a moment so we can kind of understand some of what organizations are looking for. And if you're maybe an owner-side scheduler, then you can also start to feel like, what would a schedule spec look like from your perspective? If you're ready, let's go. Okay, let's have a look at New York State's Department of Transportation, their schedule specification. Now, a lot of these you can find online. They're called all sorts of different things, so you might have to really go into a deep dive to find what you're looking for. But here's one that we can look at. This is New York State's. As you can see, this is a fairly, I'm just going to do a quick scroll through it just to show you some of the things. Schedule file name conversions, conventions in here, pre-construction, progress schedule, all sorts of text. What I thought we would do here is, instead of reading the whole thing, there's even screenshots from P6, instead of reading the whole thing, is use our friend ChatGPT. So that's what I did, is I asked ChatGPT, what are the 5 most important things I should know about scheduling for New York State Department of Transportation projects? And again, we'll take this with a grain of salt, but this is something we can work with. So number 1, all schedule specs are going to require this: a fully logic-driven critical path, no exceptions. Typically, they are very clear at explaining that this needs to be a really well-built CPM schedule with good logic that makes sense. No dangling activities, no missing logic. Schedule quality is really important. It's going to be outlined in these things. Not too surprising. Let's look also at number 2 here is calendars. Calendars, again, can be a tool where contractors can do dubious things or confusing things, let's just say. So calendars must follow their rules, especially for seasonal work. Of course, New York is in the Eastern Seaboard. There's lots of seasonal considerations with cold weather, snow, that are going to prevent work. So that's all outlined in here. Let's talk about activity names, the convention. They want you to follow verb, object, location in your naming. And so they have a strict activity naming policy. It has to be this way. So again, sometimes if we're not used to these specs, we might just sit down in P6 and say excavate, excavate phase 1. That's not going to cut it. They want verb, object, and location. That needs to be explicit in their spec. All activities must have proper codes. This is very common too. Activity coding or activity numbering can be outlined. Calendars, logic, all stuff like that. Let's see what they have in theirs. Activities are linked. See that. No start-finish milestones with incorrect relationship types. If you're a P6 scheduler, this goes back historically where you could have some weird relationship types with different types of milestones, so they don't want that. Asphalt or concrete not on seasonal calendars. Activities with zero duration. Negative float is not allowed in the baseline. These are kind of standard things you'll encounter. But up to here, we haven't really hit too much of the really hard-hitting details that you'll often find in these schedule specs. Let's see if we get them in number 5 here. Rigid deadlines, final deadline accepted within 40 working days. This is actually more about the timelines you have for building the schedule and when they're going to be awarded. Monthly updates, when are they due? Look ahead schedules weekly, as-built schedules due within 10 days of the last work week. So this is another thing that you're going to find is the process of managing a schedule and updating a schedule. How do they want it and how strict are their deadlines going to be? What we'll also see, though, often is limits on durations, whether things need to be cost or resource loaded, and if they do, they need to be done in a certain way. So let's look at a spec that has a little bit more stringent requirements in that regard. Let me pull it up here for you. This is going to be coming from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in their spec for any work that they do. Anytime you get into U.S. government specs, often, sometimes they're shared across different areas of the government. So once again, I asked, what are the top requirements for the Army Corps of Engineers in the document that we uploaded? So a CPM schedule is required, not very surprised. Project schedule must accurately represent the work, logic, and interdependencies. That means every activity must reflect the actual sequence. So they're starting to talk already about sequence of work and how the schedule must accurately represent that sequence. The schedule must calculate late date flips, so it's a CPM schedule. Actual progress must be updated correctly. You'll see a lot of that in schedule specs as well. They might want a 2-step update process that helps them with the claims and time impact analyses and things like that. But this one is requiring resource and cost data. So you need to have your schedules resource loaded and cost loaded, and they will outline in detailed technical speak how they want that done. So it's, again, can be a real stumbling block if you are not used to resource and cost loading schedules. If you are, then you might be fine, but if you're not, this is where contract schedulers will have trouble getting their baselines approved. This is very technical and very detailed work, resource and cost loading schedules. In fact, we talk about it in our advanced course, which I'll mention a little later. All scheduled data must be transferable using the SDEF standard exchange format. That might be something else that's new. Instead of sending XER files, they want schedules in a certain format, this SDEF exchange format. Progress payments will be withheld until the acceptable schedule is submitted and maintained. This is where it gets interesting, right? So you need to make sure your schedules are accepted every month, your baseline's accepted, and your progress schedules are accepted. Otherwise, you might not get paid. Okay. Contractor also must incorporate changes and delays into the schedule quickly. The schedule must show impacts of changes and delays in order to determine time extensions. Time impact analysis must be prepared using the update closest to the delay. So getting specific about time. You will also see information in here around total float. We don't want giant total float values on schedules. It could hint that some of the activity linking was not done well. We also might not want long duration activities, so short, a 15-day maximum duration is common, and other things like that. Activity coding, how schedules should be submitted, those timelines, all of this goes into a schedule specification. Now, once again, if you're not used to incorporating these schedule specifications, you might feel like a fish out of water. This might be a really challenging place for you to be. In fact, having your schedule rejected, maybe not once, maybe not twice, but a couple times can also feel really disheartening. It can be hard to meet these schedule specs, And the other people on the owner's side are adhering to a lot of scrutiny. They will scrutinize in detail. So it's important to understand how to work with schedule specs. And that's why I might suggest, if you've never worked with a schedule spec before, why don't you practice before you get into a situation where you might feel like a fish out of water. That's why I built this course, the Advanced P6 Planning Construction Projects course, because I was exactly in that spot where I was working on a project that had a very challenging spec and I was like a fish out of water. I built a course on it because I felt like a lot of people might be in that similar position. So in this course, I'm going to give you a schedule spec to adhere to. We will build a schedule together, one that is resource and cost loaded. We're also going to look at some of the diagrams, the drawings that I provide for you, as well as the contract, the bid. We're going to feel like we're real life schedulers who are handed all this documentation and asked to go and build a realistic schedule from it. That's what happens in this course. Not to mention workshops and quizzes, so you get to practice and try it all out. This is a great course where you can practice learning how to work with schedule specifications. And my goal here is to help you be the best scheduler you can be so that you can handle anything they want to throw at you. So go and check it out. As always, guys, I'm here for you, trying to help you become better schedulers. If you got value from this video, please do me a favor, like and subscribe. It helps us get the channel out there even further. And leave us a comment on what you felt about this content. I really would love to hear your feedback. So until next time, I'm Michael. Happy planning.